When Time Moved Backwards by Joseph Wayne Clark. There is a place between time where sometimes time moves backwards. In the real world sun moves from east to west, or so they say. In this story though, it takes place in this day and age. There was a girl named Ava, and she was young. She lived with her mom, dad, and 2 little brothers. One of the brothers was named Aiden, and the other was named Zane. Aiden was only 1 year younger than Ava, and one was almost 3 years younger than Ava. The mom and dad were planning the best vacation ever. They would travel west to a fun-filled festival where all could play. The dad spoke, "We're going to be leaving today. Are all your bags packed?" he asked as he reached out to hold the hand of Ava. "Yes, Daddy, are we there yet?" the little girl asked. "We've got a long ride ahead of us, dear. It's best if you bring a movie or a game that would keep you entertained," the mom said sweetly. Aiden helped Zane to the car while mom and dad helped Ava out the house. As the dad started to drive off, the mother started to read her book. The brothers played and Ava just watched out the window. The trees seemed to pass by real fast. The buildings were beautiful, but she's seen so many. Ava was getting tired and dad spoke up, "When we hit the maker, don't forget to set your clocks back," and the little ones did not know why. "Why do we have to set our clocks?" Ava asked, all kind and gentle. "'Cause the sun doesn't always shine on the whole world all at once," Mother said brilliantly, and the kids were amazed. "When it's day here, the sun is shining on the other side of the world, it's night. So time is different when you travel," she then added. "Yep, we call them time zones and you have to remember them," the dad said, all cheerful, smiling at the mother. Time went by and the kids were getting sleepy. Even the mother had used the book she was reading to rest her head. The dad kept going and the sun was ever so close even when their clocks said it was almost night time. "All right. Time to set your clocks," the father announced, but everyone else was asleep. Ava hurried to set her watch, and as she did, time itself slowed down. Trees were no longer rushing around the car. In fact, they stayed completely still. It was as if they were not moving at all. She gasped as she hid her face from the window. To make sure she wasn't dreaming, she peeked out again. Butterflies and birds were flying backwards. People around the buildings were even moving as if time wasn't going forward. The cars that would usually swift by were seemingly going in reverse. Even the dad that was driving was saying "Skalk ruites ot emit." Thgirl, as the car stopped and everything around it stopped, she was so scared she left the car. As she did, a big house was floating in the sky. A man came out on the porch, big and bearded, saying, "What reason do you have for coming to the zone in which time flows change?" he asked, staring down at Ava. Ava didn't know what to do. She ran away towards the car, which was still in its place. "Time has put you in a place where it changes. In order to get back, you must set the sky clock," the man told Ava, who was trying to open the still car door. "What is a sky clock, and who are you up there? Are you a mean man?" Ava asked in bravery as she looked up to the big guy in the sky. "The name is Tim, my dear. Timothy Estrange, and I've come to help you set time right," he told her, giving a relief to the child. "I want my brothers to wake up. I want my mom and dad," Ava yelled, almost scared. "But they haven't set their clocks and there is no danger. All you have to do is ride the train of the time rails to the sky and set the clock back 1 hour," Tim said confidently. Ava put her hands on her hips and yelled up to the man, "Why don't you just do it?" "I'm done yelling," he replied, and lowered a ladder for her to climb. "Come up here and I will walk you to the train," Tim added as he walked into the house. With nothing else going on around her, she climbed the ladder to the strange house. To her surprise, Timothy was not so big. In fact, her dad was even taller than him. His belly was big and he seemed to live alone. "Who are you and how do we stop this from happening?" Ava asked, and made sure to sound bossy to the new stranger. "I already told you I'm Tim Estrange. All you have to do is ride this train to the sky clock and set it back 1 hour," Tim said, and he walked towards Ava to help her up. She could see a railroad coming from the earth which seemed to go from south to north forever. It doesn't even go up, she smirked as she looked to the big old fat man. Tim gave her a funny face and babbled, that is cause I haven't set the course, smarta pants. As he walked by her, he went over to a rusty lever and pulled it down, making the tracks that went from north to south and south to north go up into the air. I'm supposed to ride that? Ava said shockingly at the elevation of the tracks. It's like a roller coaster, she added, looking straight up into the sky. If you set the clock back and yours is forward, you will let the zone know that it is being changed. Time doesn't always go forward and backwards. It just has the sun saying it's daytime and the moon saying it's nighttime. Tim said with wisdom and sadness in his eyes. Why don't you just set the clock? Ava asked with a little curiosity. Cause I made the mistake of setting the clock forward too much. Now I'm stuck. He said, becoming even more sad. Now I'm not going to make the same mistake. I've been thinking about it, and if I set the clock back 2 more hours I should be able to return to my present time. He said quietly and almost heartbreakingly. The two got on the train and sat on the seats. When they did, it was almost forced for them to lay back and watch the train slowly go up towards the sky. When it did, between the sun and the moon appeared a clock in the mists of the clouds. Then the train stopped and Ava went to get up and walk off the seat. Tim grabbed her by the arm so she wouldn't fall. He carried her off the train in his big hands. They gazed at the clock and it seemed to not even tick. Is it broken? She asked, and Tim replied, no, it's just that time doesn't move in this zone. She grabbed the big hand of the old clock and dragged it down half an hour. As she pulled it backwards, she noticed the sky and even the cars below it would move with the clock. It began to tick forward again, making the world work as it did before. Watch out for the seconds hand. It can get in the way of us turning it back. Tim stated as he too watched the clock. It's too big, I can't get the hand to move. She said to him in hopes he would help. I can move it for you, he said, moving her out of the way. How long have you been up here? She asked in question. Tim moved the clock's hand slowly backwards from 6 to 3. I've been up here since I was a boy. He replied, even more sad than before. And what about your family? She asked, prying even further. Well, only I can see them wait for me. He said, pushing the hand from 3 to 1. She began to shake and she grabbed hold on the rails. Ava cried out, I'm scared, Tim, strange. Tim just looked at her and pushed the clock back even more, setting it back the full time. With the clock set, she began to fall and she could see Tim push the clock back even further. She knew he was trying to set time back for himself. I've stayed up here for almost 10 years to help anyone else who got lost. My sister, my mother, and my father are waiting for me. Maybe it's time for me to go back to them. He yelled as he set the clock a full hour back. That made 2 hours go by for Ava. She was back in her car with her mom, moving the book towards her head to sleep. Ava seen her brothers leaning on each other, also asleep. As the dad looked into the rear view mirror ready to speak, she heard a tap on the window. It startled her at first, but when she looked she could see a young boy in the other car. He wore the same clothes as Timothy Estrange but was also her age. She knew who he was and quickly waved. She was no longer afraid of setting her clock forward. She knew that the clocks behind her was set back. The end.